People, Deluded, I'm back again. Thank you very much for tuning in each and every time. Apologies, I even still have my earpods on. As you can see, I've literally just sat down. I can't lie, I've been ready for a minute to make videos, people, but it's boiling. So you lot cannot never ever question my commitment. You lot can't see it, but there's two lights beaming in my face. Now I'm seeing stars for being an idiot and looking straight in them. We've got a light above, we've got a light over there, and we're going to keep expanding until I have that full studio. You know, it's a bit of a mazza. You lot also can't see it, but for me there's slightly more space now because I've moved things about. Like I don't think I could have done that in my last videos, but let's be a bit more mature, let's be a bit more serious. Like, as you lot know, the season's done. I keep saying that in all my vids and I apologise because it's disrespectful. On Saturday we played the FA Cup and other people got Champions League and Europa and things, and I'm going off topic and blabbling on like I normally do, but if you haven't, you know, have you lot seen the news regarding City and Real Madrid? And I believe I can never say his name, Mariano Diaz, he was linked with Arsenal. He's tested positive for coronavirus, and allegedly, you know, people are saying that clash is in doubt. I don't know if it is going to be in doubt. I don't know if it's just speculation, but just when you kind of think there's light at the end of the tunnel regarding how sports specifically and to a degree society can move forward with this stuff, there's always something in it. So yeah, man, that's a man's health. I hope he's good. I hope, you know, all the Madrid players and everyone's good. You know, obviously you're all seeing if you're going to Spain or you're travelling back to England from Spain, you're going to face the prospect of 2-week quarantine. And, you know, I know lockdown's been restricted, but on the eve of it, you're seeing that year. And Boris today talk about potential second wave. I'm not trying to fearmonger because I don't know what's happening, but it's a bit confusing for me personally. But moving away from that, as you lot know, you know, this is the time of year when the rumours start, and you've seen Aubameyang's contract thrown in doubt. Partey, apparently we're not going for him now, we're not willing to exercise his release clause. You know, Ceballos, permanent/loan, a couple other things in the background. 1 minute Guendouzi's going Atletico, 1 minute Barcelona, 1 minute neither club is interested. You know, there's a lot of things and people as in their own little spin on rumours. Arsenal, on the side note, we need to make several departures, and I don't know what Arsenal is going to do, but logically, and I say logically because I don't know the landscape of Arsenal financially beyond what I assume I know as a fan with the information available to you and I, you'd imagine there's got to be, I want to use the word several lightly, but several departures, because you look at our financial issues, you look at our wage budget. Last year, Josh Kroenke said, you know, what did he say? I can't remember word for word, but it's a Europa League squad on Champions League wages or something. So, you know, we've slipped further down as a club and regressed further, and we're going to lose even more money. You know, we didn't get as far in the Europa League as last year. We're not in the final, so we don't even get a carrot of a little extra change from that. You know, finishing 8th gave us an extra couple of million just in terms of Premier League spaces, but we all know the Europa League is the bread and butter. We need that 30 million that it comes with. You know, we need the Champions League TV rights. So I don't know, but yeah, so I use the word several departures lightly, but you'd imagine before, and I would love to see the first thing done, Aubameyang's new contract, for me anyways, but you'd like to imagine, or you'd have to imagine before Aubameyang signs a new deal, I don't want to make this about Ozil, but that future has to be resolved. You know, you've got Ozil, who, forget the transfer fee, just the wages, you know, I'm pretty sure Arsenal at the point where they've probably, you know, offered him to clubs for free and things, and it just hasn't happened, you know. Other clubs are probably saying we'll take him, or because he's always linked with Fenerbahce, whether that's for him or his wife. But again, the wages, you know, Arsenal might have to take the hit and pay a 50% versus the 100% we're playing, you know. And then what's being, if he does stay at the club, then I would like him integrated into the team of some sort, whether he's going to be a squad player or whatnot, purely because as a fan, you know, there's a tool available. I'm not saying Ozil is the Ozil of yesterday, but we're paying his wages, he might as well play. You know, I personally think this is the latest ploy to force Ozil out, because again, you know, if Arteta's dropped him for tactical reasons, he's dropped him for tactical reasons. But if you remember rightly, you know, after the Everton game where I think he was out, you know, Arteta's either his first game or Lombard took that game, but Arteta was announced. After that, you know, for a period, Ozil was starting week in, week out, playing relatively well. It looked like Arteta had the formula in that, you know, he was a bit like Jose Mourinho with Ozil in that, you know, Jose, I look at Ozil at Madrid, Jose knew, you know, this guy is going to give me all these football, all these lovely passes, but probably seeing out games 60th minute and things like that, latter stages, let me take you off. And it seemed like he had that understanding, and it's like after the restart that he's been frozen out, really and truly. We thought we was turning the corner, and I think that's again, I think Emery and Ozil never got on, but I do think the board put pressure on Emery, and I do think, I don't want to go as far as to say pressure with Arteta, but they probably sat down and said to him, yo, I know he's your former player and you probably will like him as a manager, but we need to get him, managing him, but we need to get him out. If you want to bring in players, we need to get him out. So Arteta's probably had to bend to that to a degree, not in a funny band thing. And concede that, to be fair, and kind of force Ozil out. Now Ozil has made several times, him and his agent have said we're staying for the last year, and you can't blame him. He's getting on in himself, you know, he's got a big fat contract, you know, people can say money grabber, this, that and the other. I would sit and wait for my contract, I'm sure you would as well, you know, he's retired from international football, so it's not even like, you know, I'm going Euros next year, let me go somewhere and play ball, you know, he might as well see out his life. If I was him, I'm seeing out my contract, then I'm exploring the Turkey thing or the America thing. Now, you know, in hindsight, it would have been best to let Alexis and Ozil leave, but let's be serious, you know, I'm pretty sure around the period Ozil signed that deal, he was playing alright, he won Player of the Month or something like that around the time, and it would have sent a bad message out if both Alexis and Ozil left. Now, Ozil did very well to sign that contract at 29 years of age. You know, I do think he's lost a bit of hunger. I do think there are some unfair criticisms of him, but I just think fundamentally, you know, there's two ways this can go. We move Ozil on and we properly move him on, you know, whether that's paying his contract out or whatever you can do to get them wages out, or you utilise him for this last year. I'm not saying he has to be starting week in, week out, because I don't think he does, but you know, whether it's rotation, cup games, bench, can play for his side, because it's a shame. But you know, I've kind of centered this around Ozil. You know, Ozil purely for the wages needs to go. You know, there's a case for Kolasinac to stay. Obviously, we need a couple options at left back, but and I know Maitland, you know, he doesn't really want to play there, and you want to play people in their role. But you know, if Arteta said, you know what, we're going to scout a left back, or we're going to bring in a cheaper one. We've got Tierney doing his thing there. Saka can play there if need be. You know, we can force Maitland-Niles there. Another future he's up for debate. Can Kolasinac go? Because Kolasinac has contracted until 2022. He's on big wages. You know, does that mean we move him off? You move him and Ozil off, you're talking 4.5k a week, instantly gone off the wages. El Nene, what's he on? He must be on like a respectable 50 or so. Do you get it? Socrates must be on similar wages. In fact, I think Socrates is on 110k, you know. Moving him on, you know, considering the coronavirus, I don't know if Socrates is conceding, you know what, it might be best to stay. I know there's been wage cuts, but let me what's the word? Let me just stay at Arsenal for a year. I'll review what happens next year, whether that's going back to Germany, playing out his end of his days in his homeland in Greece, or going to America and trying a new adventure. But you know, him and Mustafi's been in decent form, but you know, probably if you're looking at Arsenal, we've tried to move him on hella times. He changed agencies in January. He's playing well under Arteta, but this might have been the better time to sell him, sort of thing, in that he's looking close to the man that we thought we was getting for 40 odd million, with no disrespect to him. So you know, you've got Socrates wages, you've got Mustafi, they're both probably going to stay with Ozil, so they're already crippled there. You know, you've got to deal with the Aubameyang, but like I said, Kolasinac should probably be moved on with Ozil. That's 4.5. You know, El Nene's around 50. Socrates is around 100. You know, I don't want Flo Balogun to be sold by Arsenal. I think he's a young man with a lot of potential, but if we look at it without emotion and without my Hale End cap on, and I just do the maths and I said, yeah, he might turn out to be, you know, do a Tammy Abraham, in the sense of Tammy's, whether you like him or not, he's a 40 million plus player if Chelsea ever wanted to sell him, because he's got experience. So it would have been a case to, you know, we've given Balogun a new deal, he won't sign it, but it would have been good to, you know, him sign it. If he pushes into the first team, great. If not, we do our thing, you know, and wait for him to develop. But the club might be looking at it is that, you know, it costs the academy 2 to 3 million or so a year to run. You know, Balogun hasn't scratched the surface of first team football. If we can get 5 to 10 million pounds for him, Brentford bidded 5 million for a man that hasn't made an appearance. You know, how many times has he paid for the academy to keep open for a year? And obviously that 5-10 million can be added to the wage books. You look at I'll say Tutu as well. He's had a decent loan at Busham, but you'd imagine there's not a pathway here. Don't think he's going to command a mad fee, but the likes of him, Ben Shafe, they're probably at the stage where they need to be moved on and such. Obviously, Lacazette's come into form of late, but you know, if you look at last season compared to this, I told a lot of fans, one criticism I have of Lacazette is he's a good striker, and he has the ability to score 20 league goals, but for some reason he hasn't done it. You know, he's got 10 league goals this year, even away from just the goals. He was our player of the year last year. He's a shadow of his former self. Arteta said he wants to keep him, but is it realistic to see that? Listen, there might be a chance for Aubameyang to even renew his deals with Ozil here, but I think it would be unrealistic to assume Lacazette's going to get a big deal at 29 years of age. Aubameyang in his odd 30s getting a new deal on top of Ozil here, so we might concede Lacazette has to go. I don't want Matteo Guendouzi to leave, yeah, but like I said, you know, I've said Kolasinac, Socrates, Mohamed Elneny, and several other players. If you lot have kept with me, you know, you add Guendouzi to that. If again without emotion and my sense of that he can be a better player, signed him for 7-8 million, trying to get 30-40. If not, you're trying to swap him and do other things. You know, that could get added to the stat. Now, of course, you've got to include wages and all of these things and factor in that we've given a new contract to Mavropanos, we've given out a new contract to Joel Willock, David Luiz has signed a new deal as well. You know, we've got to be careful of the wage structure here. So there has to probably be several departures, and I say several lightly, before we do any major moves, because, you know, this COVID thing is going to impact Arsenal. You know, our failings on the field has a direct consequence financially off it. You know, we're kind of begging Kroenke to invest his personal money, which is wishing on a star. So the outlook doesn't look too promising beyond out. It depends. Like, you know, we have to be very creative in the market, and this is more than ever. We've got to kind of see from the club a clear structure as to what we're trying to do, because on one hand it looks like we're trying to get the stars of tomorrow, then we're doing this homegrown thing, then the academies, then it seems like we're getting into bed with agents in the wrong way. And I actually don't mind working with agents, you know, having a team, you know. I don't want them to be a sort of presence on my club and like they're sort of certified here, but we can utilise that. Look at Wolves, with all due respect to Wolves, and I might be poor with these examples, but George Mendes, if we was to go through the amount of Portuguese players they've got, you know, they've got Stars of Tomorrow and Pedro Neto, they've got João Moutinho, and there's been several other things he's probably helped with. He's helped them, you know. Wolves, you know, credit to Nuno, the manager, credit to the hierarchy, credit to the players, but they've worked, come on now people, like, and I'm sure Wolves fans would say, you know, they've had a good relationship, or what appears on the outside a good relationship with an agent, and they've been able to utilise it. So this is where this season we have to see about. We're going to have to see what the club's doing, and it's out of Arteta's hands. You know, Arteta's probably the last. You know, all Arteta can do in terms of transfers and say who he wants. You know, try and convince a player. But in regards of dotting the I's, crossing the T's, and balancing the books, those are the people above him. And again, to have any chance next season, they're going to need to get that spot on, because, you know, our centre-half targets, our centre-half players, excluding Saliba, this season have been woeful. You're kind of concerned specifically in relation to our centre-halves. Arteta is as well. All year Arteta's spoken about centre-halves. He was begging in January for them, even with Marie coming. You know, Marie and Mustafi are going to miss the start of next season. So who's the fit centre-halves, you know? Chambers is progressing well, but, you know, we got to let him progress, you know. Could Holding be sold to raise funds? Signed him for 2 million. Can you get a next one? You know, but he'll probably have to stay. Mustafi and Socrates are staying, you know. Looking at Saliba, we need to bring in another centre-half. But it looks like we need to get players off the wage books, because we've got a lot of... it's ironic, but there's not many players I actually feel are bad players within our squad. It's just a collective bunch of average individuals, you know, and we need to get people off, you know. Like I said, we're kind of begging Kroenke to invest his own money financially. Potentially that's wishing on a star, people, but that's all I wanted to say, man. I just want to see what happens, man. But it definitely looks like we're going to have to see some departures before we bring people in, and I don't know that. I want to see people come in regardless, but we'll have to see what happens. On that note, it's always a pleasure speaking with you lot. DG, I'm out.